Well, we're just going to roll right in. It's always so much fun to have a new artist in studio. Drake Milligan, and how's it going, my friend?
Howdy. It's going really well.
Welcome.
I'm here in St. Louis.
Welcome to the Lou. Have you been to the Lou before?
I've been to the Lou one time.
One time. What'd you do?
We had a show here. We had a show here at the Tin Roof. It was fun.
Oh, yeah.
We
That was a while ago, wasn't that?
It was a few months ago. Yeah. But it was great. We caught the St. Louis Cardinals game coming out, and all the people from there, and had
They're a pretty good baseball
time.
team.
Yeah.
They might do something with this season, you know. Clinched last night. That was awesome.
They're a little better than my Texas Rangers. I got
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, it's so exciting to have you in. You are actually the third artist to get to be in the new digs here at iHeartRadio St. Louis, so that's fun.
Third time's a charm.
Right? But you're the first to get to have Mary in studio with us.
Man,
First time that Mary's had a chance to come in. So
Oh.
every Thursday I go into Show Me St. Louis. They're so awesome to let me go in and be on a segment. We've talked country music.
Everything.
We've talked concerts.
Fajitas.
We ate fajitas one
Yes.
time. Eating on live TV is very difficult, by the way. We made cupcakes. So I said, it'd be perfect. Why don't you come in and check out Drake in the studio, and then we can talk about that on Show Me St. Louis. So welcome, Mary. It's
I'm so happy to be here.
worlds are colliding today.
It is, and I get to finally see your world because you always enter our studio, and we're eating fajitas, we're doing all of the things, and now and when I first walked in, I said to him, "So is this live? Do I have to? How do I talk?"
She's like, "How do I act?" I go, you don't have to look at a camera first off. That was the weirdest thing, and we can talk about that too because you're used to being in front of the camera. Like,
A little bit.
where do you look?
Yep.
But your camera stuff actually started even before America's Got Talent with CMT
Yeah, it
and
was
Sun
CMT,
Records.
Sun Records. Yeah, I played Elvis on there.
How do you prep
Amazing.
for playing Elvis?
I've been an Elvis fan just a little through my Elvis journey, right? When I was about 7 years old, I saw an Elvis impersonator by total accident out eating with my family, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I didn't know who Elvis was. I was like, this is awesome. And so I just went home and watched all the movies I could, watched every performance and everything. And then I just, I started performing as Elvis, and it just grew. It grew from there. And then high school, I got casted in Sun Records. I got casted as an open call audition. So I was already an Elvis fan. I already I had done all the research I possibly could on Elvis. I was destined to play that part, I felt like. So I was, I auditioned right out of high school and got the part, left high school, and was working on a TV
So
series.
you were a teen essentially
I was a
playing
teen
Elvis. You must have felt
and
so cool.
had done no TV either.
Oh my goodness.
Did you do any acting classes or anything?
No, I had done a short film in Memphis. It was part of the reason I got the part on the show. They didn't want me to audition because I was 17 at the time, and I knew some people with the film commission. And I was like, "Hey, can you let them know I'm serious, please?" I was beating down the door, let me just audition, and they did, and it went really well. It was Valentine's Day of my senior year, and then, by end of March, we were there for pre-filming, all getting ready.
So you went right to work.
Went right
you
to
didn't.
work.
You didn't have any downtime. See, sometimes people might get mad at when I say this, but sometimes did you do any type of post school? Because that's what I'm gonna say. I didn't do any type of schooling. Sometimes sometimes life just throws you something, or you're meant to do something in life. I feel.
Man, I treated it. I treated that whole thing, and at that time I was applied to Texas Tech. I was going to go out there, and all my friends were out there. My brother was out there, and I was like, I'm going to treat this. I withdrew my application. I'm going to treat this as my college experience.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I was living next door to Chuck Mead, who was our musical director on the show, and he was in a band back in the day called BR549. It was a great Nashville band, and he's a country music historian. He is an encyclopedia. And so I just treated the whole thing as a college experience and just really dove into it, was asking questions and learning about TV, and just really, just dove in and treated that whole thing as schooling.
And that was 2019, right?
That was 2017.
Okay.
2017 it aired. We filmed it in 2016.
And then it aired 17 to 19. So then
17, yeah.
obviously world shut down. So then what was the plan?
Well, after that, I wanted to pursue music. I said, man, I love country music, and this is what I want to do. And luckily, a guy named Tony Brown had seen me on the show and had me come play a gig in Nashville at the Capitol. And Tony Brown, for those who don't know, Well, back in the day, he played keys for Elvis Presley, and then produced just hundreds of #1 hits. I mean, like crazy. He produced 19 George Strait records, Vince Gill, Marty Stewart, Steve Earle. I mean, just really impactful country music records. But he had seen me on the show, and I came to Nashville and started to be like, hey, man, I've got started like writing a little bit, and can I show you some stuff? And he loved it and put me in touch with Brandon Hood, and together they co-produced my record, Dallas Fort Worth.
My goodness. Did you find that your role as Elvis and your kind of appreciation of him shape into how the artist that you've become in the album that you've just released?
Yeah, it was funny when I first moved to Nashville, I was running so far from anything Elvis. I was like, I'm not going to be the Elvis guy.
Yes.
I am going to like not be, you get pigeonholed in that. And Tony really helped me he's like, you got to take that. You got to run with it. It's part of you at this point. And so I can't help it if a little move comes out every now and then.
Yes.
I'm sure people kind of expect it too. You kind of got to.
You got to.
So then how did going from that world then AGT?
So
you've done more, by the way, in like a few years than I feel like I've ever done in my entire life, and I'm a lot older than you. Goodness.
He's been booked and busy.
Jeez.
And it was tough. We cut this record. We were kind of ready to go right at like March of 2020. And for a new artist, that's a tough time to try to release some stuff.
Yeah.
And so really had to sit on my hands for a couple of years. And last year we released the EP, and we're really just fighting to get shows and get out there and try to make a name. And the opportunity for AGT came along, and it was kind of a no-brainer. You can get in front of 8 million people like that. So it was one of those that could either go really well, right? I'm doing original music on there. Luckily, I had my band and everything and got to tell my story. And it's one of those that's like, okay, it could either go really well or nobody reacts, and it's on to the next thing. But luckily, people reacted well, and got to do 3 big performances on there, and got to release my record right after. So it really, the timing really played out.
And how was the experience on the show? Because like you obviously as a viewer, we only see so much. You've heard different things, and I'm not looking for like anything juicy, but like was it cool too? Because everybody performing, everybody's kind of got their own thing. Everybody is different in a different way. Was it intimidating? Like, oh, they do this, they do that. Like how does that kind of affect how you react on the show?
Well, it's a little intimidating to just go up there because it is a variety show, unlike a lot of the other kind of contestant shows, right? Mm-hmm. Or singing shows where everybody's doing something else and everybody's doing something like extravagant. I got to go up against acrobats and just crazy acts. And so it is a little daunting to be like, okay, this guy's swallowing a sword and now I got to sing my country song. So it is a little daunting, but the whole experience, we got to work with the production crew on there is the same crew that does the Grammys. They do Vegas shows. They did like Luke Bryan's Vegas show. And so to get to work with them and build sets and build an actual performance with like pyro and lights and stages, and then go and do a live performance for 8 million people is pretty crazy.
What's running through your head during all of that?
You just you do all the prep. We're out there for like 10 days at a time, and you're working. You may not get to see the set maybe the day before. You get to really be on stage and get a feel for the stage. But before that, you're rehearsing, and I had my band with me. So for me, my band's a really good support system of just being on stage, looking around and being like, okay, I'm not here by myself. We've done this before hundreds of times. Let's just have fun. And we really just have to have as much fun as possible. And you got to know where your cameras are. You got to know, maybe this camera is going to be on at this time, and there's like all sorts of movements, and you're kind of choreographed. You have to be for cameras. So there's a lot to think about, but you try to just prepare for that and then just let loose when the time comes.
See, talking like about with Mary when she does show, I'm like, where do I look when I'm on TV? It's like, what do I do with my hands on radio? Nobody cares. They can't see us. You don't even know if I'm wearing pants right now. I'm just saying. Sometimes I don't, but that's beside the point. I want to ask this because I was talking to Stan with Record Label about it. He was with you one day at the airport, and he said it's just with the show, you said 8 million people, and I'm sure too you saw this with Sun Records, people recognizing you out. But I'm sure also with this show, it took that. It was like throwing a stick of dynamite in. How was that too? Because that happened real quick. Because I'm sure that can also be awkward.
Yeah, I got recognized just a few times after Sun Records, and AGT is on such a big scale. We were in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin yesterday at a gas station, and I see the guy looking at me, and like he could tell he was like, I know who this is, but I don't know who this is. And then finally it clicked, and he goes, "Oh, you're Drake Milligan from AGT," and it's cool. It's cool that we can be in literally the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, and somebody like knows who you are. So it's definitely new, but it's cool. It's cool, and everybody's been so nice, and they're just excited to see you, and people are showing up to shows now, and I'm staying there till 3 a.m. signing autographs, and it's a blessing. It really is.
And working on I probably should know this. Has the new album been announced? The new album, and it's a double.
Is out,
and it's a double,
everywhere.
right?
It is double record.
How? Okay, that's ambitious, by the way. Like first album you're going to drop, and you're going to go double. Like what? And I told Stan that. I said, "Damn, that's ambitious." What? But again, to the point of you've got 8 million people that have been watching you for the past couple of weeks and months. Like they're already there. What made you want to drop the double?
Well, we dropped it the day after the finale.
That's right.
We dropped it.
I didn't
we dropped
know
it
that.
the night after the finale. Well, when it was just timing wise, you have so many eyes on you. It's kind of a no brainer.
But why a double?
Double record. See, we had gone in. We had. I've been in Nashville for about 5 years, and all the time, kind of cutting songs here, cutting songs there, and we just kind of had this big pile of songs, and we didn't quite know what to do with them. And luckily, I had a great record label who let me go in. When COVID hit, and we didn't really know what was going on, we went back in the studio. We were all masked up and everything, but we went back in the studio and cut more songs. And not quite knowing what we wanted to do with them, we just knew we would get a song that would come along and I co-wrote all 14 songs, but I would write something and say, "Hey, I think this is really good," and we go, "Well, we have to cut this," and so we'd go in and cut it, and finally we just had this big kind of pile of songs, and I was talking one day with Adrian Michaels from our label, and Adrian, to his credit, man, he was like, "Man, your music's like Dallas and Fort Worth." It's Dallas. It's
That's
got
total Adrian too.
It's total Adrian.
Good old Dragon Slayer Adrian.
Or Meatball, as we so affectionately call him. He said, "Your music's like Dallas and Fort Worth. They're just totally two different sides. You have the polished up side like Dallas, and I like to call it a little more polish on the boots, right? They're both Texas cities, both very recognizable as Texas cities, but so different for being so close to each other. And Dallas is your big uptown city, and then Fort Worth is your traditional stockyards, Billy Bob's Texas. Shout out Billy Bob's. I just got to play there.
I saw that.
And it's holding on to its roots, its traditional roots, which I feel like that really describes and I'm from just south of Fort Worth, Texas. So it really described my music well. And once we had that idea, we split these songs like right down the middle. And it was 7 that were kind of polished up rocking songs, 7 that were honky tonkers or sad country songs. And I go, this is perfect. And really fought it and was like, man, we just need to come out of the gates swinging with this. Going down swinging, as one of the songs is. So with Vince Gill, we have a Western swing song. When I moved to town, I said I want to write a Western swing song. I grew up loving Western swing. Of course, there's not much you can do nowadays with Western swing. But I said, well, what if we get Vince Gill?
We're hearing more of it. We'll get to the music in a few and talking about big things to play. By the way, Drake Milligan in the studio. You have a big date coming up here at the beginning of next month. First time stepping onto the Opry stage.
I get to step into the circle. It's pretty wild.
How is that gonna feel? I mean, I don't even think you can probably put into words what it's gonna feel like. That's wild.
Yeah, I'm trying not to scare myself too much. I know everybody says that you'll never be able to really know how nervous you're gonna be until you're up there. So I'm such a big fan of country music. And the history of country music, and there's no bigger place for the history of country music than the Opry. So getting to step into that circle is going to be crazy. I mean, that's where Hank Williams, that circle is where Elvis stood.
Oh my goodness.
At one point, Elvis played the Grand Ole Opry once, and that's where he stood. That's where Hank Williams stood. That's where all my heroes stood. So it's it's really gonna be an awesome night.
If you could talk to your younger self, would he believe all of this? Would he believe that you're going to step into that circle?
I don't know. I always dreamed about it, and the reason really we went on to like Mary's Got Talent is I grew up watching that and grew up dreaming about. I grew up watching that stage and be like, I could do that. I want to do that. So it was really just fulfilling my dream there. I don't know, little bitty Drake. He'd probably be like, yeah, of course I'm a country music star, But it seems to be happening pretty quick, just from where we were 6 months ago as a band, just playing shows to 30, 50 people at a time, to now being able to sell out Billy Bob's and play these amazing shows, play the Opry. It's happened so fast, I'm trying to just take it all in.
Well, you guys got the guitar. I got to reset some mics, more with Drake Milligan, and some music in just a few. Mary, I feel like, how was it for you?
I'm having so much fun.
She was so nervous, too, when we were getting, she was like, again, because she's on TV, and TV is so, as you know, TV is so different. So is it everything you thought it would be?
It is everything I thought it would be and more, actually. Because usually when I'm talking to someone, I have this voice in my ear, 1 minute, 30 seconds. And just to sit here and chit-chat, I mean, we could dive on in. That's can really fun. Have those conversations.
You never know what you're going to pull out sometimes.
Yeah,
and sometimes you want to stuff it back in, but not today. Yeah. Drake Milligan in studio. Dude, thank you so much for hanging out,
thank you.
Chatting. That was a blast.
Thank you. I had a blast.
So much fun.
Mary, what do you think? First time in studio.
It was incredible. I'm going to wear my cowgirl boots next time, though.
All right, Drake, plug it. Where does everybody find you, man? I'm sure.
Oh, man.
I mean, like 8 million people have already seen you so much on TV, but you got to plug away anyway.
Hey, come on. The record is available everywhere music is sold or streamed. It's called Dallas Fort Worth. My name is Drake Milligan. You can find me all across the board: Facebook, Drake Milligan; Instagram, @Drake Milligan; Twitter, @Drake Milligan; TikTok, TikTok, as I like to call it, @Drake Milligan.
Are you putting it on vinyl?
Man, that's a conversation. We haven't yet. We don't have CDs yet. We're like fresh.
Oh, the delay on everything.
It's crazy.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't have a way to even play a CD.
Yeah, exactly.
My Jeep doesn't even have a CD player. But you drop it on vinyl, I will pick that up.
It's being looked at, so I would love to have it on vinyl.
Right?
I love vinyl.
There's something about listening on vinyl that you can hear the nuances. You can hear the just little things you can't hear other ways.
Well, for me, it's interactive. It means more to me when I grab the vinyl and I have to put the needle on it and I have to do that. It allows me to listen better, I feel like. Rather than just putting it on my phone and I say, play that.
And for example, too, you place the songs on the record in a certain way for a reason. You know, it's meant to be listened to front to back. A lot of times with a CD or if you're listening digitally, you can just go and boom, you go right to that. But with this, it just flows. Some of my favorite albums, one of my favorites is Port St. Joe Brothers Osborne, and it doesn't stop between. You can hear, because they recorded that actually on the ocean, and you can hear the waves in between. They go from one song to another, and it's just, that is the art that was created there. So selfishly, please put it on. Even if you make 2 copies, one for you, one for me, I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
Thank you.
3
All right,
copies.
3 copies. They're coming here first.
Drake Milligan, thank you for coming, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. This is so much fun.